Ukrainian forces are systematically severing Russian supply lines into Pokrovsk while hunting down infiltrator groups that slipped through the front. A campaign that is steadily blunting Moscow's ability to sustain attacks on the city. In the latest phase, Air Force and ground strikes knocked out a key road connecting Seladov and Pokrovsk, denying Russian light vehicles the main infiltration corridor they had relied on for rapid troop insertions. Local reports and social media imagery indicate the strike was supported from the air, with at least one Ukrainian fighter delivering heavy munitions against choke points and bridges, creating cratered wreckage that is now impassable for light transport and armored logistics. The interdiction has forced Russian assault groups to attempt slower, more exposed approaches that Ukrainian defenders are primed to intercept. This interdiction effort is part of a broader Ukrainian campaign to isolate Pokrovsk tactically and collapse the small unit infiltration tactics Russia has used in recent weeks. Independent battlefield assessments note a marked increase in glide bomb and standoff munition use across the Donetsk front, intensifying the logistical strain on Russian forces and magnifying the effect of Ukrainian countermeasures. The immediate result is a more secure defensive posture for Ukrainian units inside Pokrovsk. Fewer sudden penetrations, a lower tempo of close-quarters fighting inside the city, and mounting Russian losses as isolated infiltrator groups are located and eliminated. If Ukraine keeps targeting the arteries supplying Pokrovsk, Moscow's ability to sustain offensive pressure there will continue to decline. The Lukoil refinery in Volgograd has been hit again, this time by long-range Lyuty An-196 drones. In classic fashion, Russian air defense failed to intercept and struck a residential building instead. At night, Volgograd was shaken by the most massive drone attack in the entire period of the Russian-Ukrainian war. Dozens of explosions, fires in high-rise buildings, and around the debris you can only hear screams and the smell of burning concrete. Ukrainian drones not only broke through to strategic industrial facilities, but also caused panic among the civilian population. Russian air defense once again showed that the Russian Federation does not have any urban defense as such. Most drones were either shot down right above the roofs or were not noticed at all. According to official data, at least 3 people were injured. Dozens of apartments were destroyed, and another scandal regarding the show-off of military structures. The General Staff confirms Ukraine's defense forces struck the Ryazan oil refinery and several key Russian targets. Confirmed hits include a Nebo-U radar station in occupied Crimea, a military train near Tokmak in occupied Zaporizhzhia, and a concentration of Russian troops near Vovchansk in occupied Kharkiv region. Ukrainian forces struck Russia's Novokuybishevsk oil refinery in Samara region, and the Rubicon drone depot, according to the General Staff hits, also targeted a UAV storage site and fuel transfer station in occupied Donetsk. The Ryazan refinery sustained damage to processing units, fuel tanks, and pipeline racks. Ukrainian BARS jet drones were used in the strikes. The 93rd Kolodny Yar Mechanized Brigade fought off a Russian assault in the Rusin Yar area. The brigade's press service reported this. The enemy started its assault under foggy conditions, believing the fog would help them advance unnoticed. However, the attack was detected in time. As the enemy assault group advanced, ground-based robotic reconnaissance systems were already positioned behind them. They detected the movement of Russian columns and transmitted their coordinates to artillery units and FPV drone teams. This enabled halting the enemy's advance with high precision and inflicting significant losses. The brigade notes that the assault on which the Russians had placed great hopes was completely repelled. It is worth adding that, according to official reports from the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, as of November 14th, defenders had stopped 107 enemy assault and offensive actions in the areas of the settlements of Volodymyrivka, Nikhanorivka, Rodinska, Novopavlivka, Lysivka, Pokrovsk, Kotline, Udakne, Molodetska, Kotlyarivka, Orikhove, Filia, and Dakne. Militarny previously reported that Russian forces lost 6 armored vehicles while attempting to cross the Kazeny-Torets River during a mechanized assault in the Dobropilya sector. In Kostiantynivka, Ukrainian forces are holding firm against repeated Russian probing attacks, maintaining defensive positions along key approaches to the city. The front remains tense, with Russian units attempting to advance using small infiltration groups and artillery harassment, but Ukraine's well-prepared defenses continue to repel these efforts. Recent reports indicate Ukrainian troops have successfully targeted Russian supply routes feeding the front line, slowing reinforcements and resupply, while artillery and drone strikes have inflicted significant personnel and equipment losses. The situation mirrors other contested areas in Donetsk Oblast, where Russia's repeated attacks are costly and largely ineffective. Ukrainian defenders are methodically clearing infiltrators and maintaining tactical initiative, keeping Kostiantynivka secure despite Moscow's persistent pressure. French journalists have received information from the Élysée on which weapons systems will be included in the historic deal with Ukraine. Jean-Dominique Mercier, a diplomatic and defense correspondent for L'Opinion, reported the details. According to information provided to the journalist at the Élysée Palace, a briefing with industry representatives is scheduled for the morning of November 17th during a meeting between Emmanuel Macron and Volodymyr Zelensky, after which a letter of intent is expected to be signed. The Élysée claims that the briefing will cover Rafale aircraft and their weapons systems, the long-range SAMP/TNG air defense system with Aster 30B1 NT missiles, capable of intercepting medium-range ballistic missiles with ranges of up to 1,500 kilometers, as well as GF-300 radars and drone systems. As Mercier notes, a Rafale delivery could indeed be significant enough to merit the term historic. The question, however, is in what form? Two options are under consideration and are not mutually exclusive. To speed delivery, France could transfer Rafale fighters from its own Air Force. However, General Jérôme Bélanger, the Air Force Chief of Staff, recently stressed that the number of aircraft in service is already too small and that the Rafale fleet is overused, with an overload rate of about 15%. The French Air Force currently fields 185 combat aircraft, of which around 100 are Rafales. Bélanger estimates that France needs at least 230. According to Mercier, a more likely scenario is one in which Ukraine is promised new-build aircraft, but that would take time. Typically, about 3 years pass between contract signing and delivery. As of June 30th, Dassault Aviation had orders for at least 239 Rafales, not including new or potential export contracts. The Dassault plant in Mérignac is increasing production, aiming for 3 Rafales per month, with the potential to rise to 5. Scaling up production takes time, as all industrial cooperation must adjust to the new pace. In late October, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said, "Up to 250 new fighter jets are needed to modernize the Air Force." He noted that 3 negotiations are ongoing simultaneously for the F-16, Gripen, and Rafale. Shortly afterward, Dassault Aviation stated about its readiness to supply Rafale fighters to Ukraine's Air Force.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week, it's 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.